Welcome to Gray Matter Reports. Today we decode the complex reality of events that unfold around us. The camera pans over a stark, dimly lit room. Shadows dance across the walls, whispering secrets long buried. In the center sits a solitary figure, the subject of countless studies. Their eyes, pools of emotionless detachment, reflect a mind at war. Each blink is a battle against the invisible chains that bind them. The mind can be a labyrinth, twisting and turning into the darkest corners of human experience. Coercion weaves its way through the psyche, often unnoticed, yet profoundly felt. Like an insidious fog, it clouds judgment and warps perception. Individuals become trapped in their own narratives, prisoners of their choices and the choices of others. As the camera zooms in, the subject shifts slightly, revealing subtle signs of internal conflict. A twitch of the lip, a fleeting glance, a breath held just a moment too long. These are the telltale markers of coercion at play. The subtle influence of authority, societal expectations, and fear morphs into an invisible chain, constricting autonomy and distorting reality. Cognitive dissonance emerges, a psychological tug-of-war. The individual grapples with beliefs and actions that seem irreconcilable. One part yearns for freedom, while another remains shackled by the weight of past decisions. This internal discord is not unlike a tightly wound spring, ready to snap. The tension builds, but the release remains elusive. A close-up reveals the subject's hands, fidgeting, betraying the calm facade. Each movement is a manifestation of the struggle against unseen forces. The psychological architecture of coercion is complex, built upon layers of manipulation and control. In this realm, trust can be a weapon, wielded by those who know how to exploit vulnerabilities. The camera cuts to a series of quick flashes, a distant voice, a commanding presence, the subtle pressure of expectation. These elements coalesce, forming a tapestry of influence that ensnares the mind. The individual becomes a marionette, strings pulled by unseen hands, moving to a rhythm dictated by external forces. In the chilling silence that follows, the weight of realization sinks in. The individual's choices, once believed to be entirely their own, are now revealed as echoes of coercive whispers. The tension thickens, an oppressive atmosphere that clings to the very air. What defines a person's path when invisible chains guide their steps? As the scene fades, the audience is left with a haunting question. Where does coercion end and autonomy begin? The screen darkens, leaving only the pulse of uncertainty, a reminder of the fragile balance between freedom and control. The room was sterile, its walls painted a clinical white. A single light flickered above, casting shadows that danced with each heartbeat. In this space, the air was thick with the weight of unspoken truths. Here, the behavior of the subject was not just observed, it was dissected. This was the crucible of understanding, where actions were stripped of their emotional layers. The individual sat before the panel of experts, an enigma wrapped in a facade of calm. Every twitch, every blink was a potential clue, a glimpse into a world governed by an internal chaos. The mind, a labyrinth of thoughts and impulses, seemed impenetrable. Yet it was within these very confines that the keys to understanding lay hidden. Coercion, a subtle whisper, often masquerades as persuasion. In this case, it acted as both puppeteer and puppet. The individual had been influenced by unseen forces, those invisible chains that bind the psyche. Psychological manipulation, a dance of power and vulnerability, played out like a tragic performance. Each decision made under duress, each action dictated by an unseen hand. The experts examined the biological evidence. Patterns emerged, threading together the narrative of an antisocial profile. The subject's past was littered with moments of compliance and rebellion, each one a brushstroke on the canvas of their identity. Early experiences shaped perceptions, forging a worldview that justified bizarre choices. A childhood marred by neglect, a formative period that twisted innocence into something darker. In this clinical setting, the complexities of human behavior unraveled. The individual's actions were not merely a series of choices, but a response to an intricate web of coercion. The mind, in its struggle for autonomy, often succumbed to external pressures. It became a paradox, where the desire for freedom was shackled by the weight of expectation. As the session progressed, tension tightened like a noose. Each revelation brought clarity, but also unease. The experts leaned closer, their eyes scanning for the minute details that would illuminate the path to the case conclusion. The subject's gaze flickered, revealing glimpses of regret and defiance in equal measure, a testament to the duality of the human condition. In the end, understanding this behavior was not about blame, it was about insight. To peel back the layers of coercion was to confront the very essence of what it means to be human. The invisible chains that bind us may not always be seen, but their impact resonates through every choice we make. This was the heart of the matter, a somber exploration into the depths where psychology and coercion intertwine, revealing the stark reality of the individual's journey through darkness. The mind is a labyrinth. Within its darkened corridors lie the invisible chains that bind individuals to their actions. Each choice, each impulse, is a thread in a tapestry woven by past experiences and psychological conditioning. The psychological bridge that connects an individual to coercive behaviors is often hidden in plain sight, obscured by layers of denial and rationalization. Consider the antisocial profile. It is not merely a collection of traits, but a complex interplay of biology and environment, a dance between nature and nurture. Factors such as genetics, childhood trauma, and social isolation contribute to a predisposition for coercive behavior. These elements intertwine in a way that creates a fertile ground for manipulation and control. The individual may not even recognize the forces at play as they navigate a world shaped by their invisible chains. Isolation acts as a catalyst. The amplification of negative experiences fosters a distorted lens through which the individual views the world. Their perception becomes tainted, leading to a skewed understanding of relationships and power dynamics. In this altered reality, coercion becomes a survival mechanism rather than an aberration. To the individual, exerting control is a response to an environment that feels threatening, chaotic, and unpredictable. The psychological bridge is also forged through societal influences. Media narratives, cultural norms, and peer dynamics build a framework that normalizes certain coercive behaviors. Individuals absorb these messages, often unconsciously, reinforcing their distorted perspectives. The bridge between their internal world and external actions widens, offering a pathway to manipulation that feels justified. They become adept at navigating this terrain, often unaware of the moral dissonance that arises. In clinical terms, the struggle becomes a manifestation of cognitive dissonance. The individual may grapple with conflicting beliefs, an innate desire for connection juxtaposed against a learned response of dominance. This internal battle becomes a breeding ground for coercive tendencies. The mind, in its attempt to reconcile these contradictions, may rationalize harmful behaviors as necessary for self-preservation. As the individual traverses this psychological bridge, they remain shackled by their past. Each step forward is laden with the weight of unresolved traumas and misguided beliefs. The chains are invisible but palpable, dictating actions and motivations. The journey along this bridge is not linear. It is fraught with setbacks and moments of clarity, each revealing another facet of the complex interplay between coercion and psychology. In the end, understanding this bridge illuminates the shadows that cloak the minds of those who engage in coercive behavior. It offers insight into the mechanisms that drive individuals to manipulate others, revealing the haunting truth that the chains of the past forever shape the choices of the present. The water was calm, yet beneath the surface lurked unseen currents. Each ripple held the weight of decisions made, choices unmade. In the shadows of a mind ensnared by coercion, the deep dive into the psyche begins. An antisocial profile often masks itself in layers of charm and charisma. The individual may navigate social circles with ease, yet their interactions are calculated, devoid of genuine connection. Their motives, shrouded in a fog of manipulation, create an illusion of control. Coercion is not merely a tool, it is a craft honed in the dark recesses of the human psyche. As we peel back the layers, we find a complex interplay of factors. Biological evidence plays a pivotal role in shaping these individuals. Studies reveal that genetic predispositions can influence behavior. Neurological anomalies may dictate the emotional responses of the subject. Their brains, wired differently, forge pathways that lead them toward coercive strategies. This is not a matter of choice, but an intrinsic design. Yet the environment cannot be discounted. The early years of development are critical. trauma, neglect, and exposure to violence can lay the groundwork for coercive tendencies. These formative experiences shape perceptions, instilling a belief system where manipulation becomes a necessity for survival. The subject learns to wield power, often without a conscious understanding of the damage inflicted. Consider the chessboard of human interaction. Each move is strategic, every relationship a potential pawn. The individual, aware of their influence, plays the game with precision. They observe weaknesses, exploiting vulnerabilities with a clinical eye. The sense of control becomes intoxicating, a heady mix of power and dominance. But beneath this facade lies a profound emptiness, a hollowness that echoes with the cries of unfulfilled connections. The consequences of coercion ripple outward. Relationships fracture, trust erodes, and communities suffer. The subject thrives in chaos, yet remains shackled by their own invisible chains. They are both the puppeteer and the marionette, dancing to a tune of their own making, caught in a cycle of manipulation that offers no escape. In the depths of this exploration, we confront unsettling truths. The psychology of coercion is not a mere abstraction. It is the embodiment of fear, control, and an insatiable need for power. The deep dive reveals the intricate web that binds the individual to their choices, exposing the fragility of the human condition. Here, the line between predator and prey blurs, leaving us to ponder the true cost of coercion in the narrative of life. Across the globe, the landscape of coercion reveals a tapestry woven with invisible threads. Each culture harbors its own unique manifestations of influence, shaping the psyches of individuals from childhood. The psychological architecture of coercion operates beneath the surface, often unnoticed until the damage has been done. In societies marked by oppressive regimes, the weight of authority creates a fertile ground for antisocial profiles to emerge. Here, individuals may find themselves ensnared in a web of conformity, where dissent is met with harsh repercussions. The pressure to adhere to societal norms can twist the psyche, leading some to internalize a distorted sense of self. This internal conflict becomes a breeding ground for coercive behavior, as individuals grapple with their autonomy versus the demands of the collective. Conversely, in more liberal societies, the chains of coercion can be subtler, yet just as effective. The allure of social acceptance can drive individuals to conform in ways that compromise their integrity. The need for belonging can overshadow moral judgment, creating a fertile environment for manipulation. In these contexts, coercion manifests not through overt force, but through the quiet whispers of expectation. The psychological toll is profound, as individuals navigate a labyrinth of choices that often lead to self-betrayal. Consider the case of an individual from a collectivist culture, where family honor supersedes personal desire. The pressure to fulfill familial obligations can lead to an internalized coercion that stifles individual aspirations. This psychological suffocation may result in a person who outwardly conforms while harboring deep-seated resentments. The individual becomes a prisoner of their own choices, shackled by an unyielding sense of responsibility. In stark contrast, an individual raised in a highly individualistic society might exhibit coercive behaviors born from a relentless quest for validation. In this environment, success is paramount, and the pressure to excel can lead to a disregard for ethical boundaries. The psychological landscape is one of competition, where the invisible chains of ambition can compel individuals to engage in manipulative tactics to achieve their goals. Ultimately, the global perspective on coercion highlights a shared human experience, the struggle between autonomy and external influence. The psychological ramifications of this struggle are profound, shaping not only individual lives but also the fabric of society. Each story, each profile, serves as a reminder of the invisible chains that bind us all, often unseen, yet inescapably felt. In the end, the question remains, how do we break free from these chains, or are they simply a part of the human condition? The courtroom buzzed with a tension palpable enough to suffocate. Eyes were fixed on the defendant, a figure who seemed to shrink under the weight of collective scrutiny. This was the culmination of a relentless journey through the labyrinth of the human psyche. The air thickened with anticipation, as if the very walls held their breath, waiting for the final verdict. Behavioral scientists had meticulously pieced together a portrait of the individual. The antisocial profile was not just a label. It was a gateway into understanding the mechanics of coercion that had dictated the subject's life. A life defined by manipulation, where invisible chains bound the individual to a cycle of control and submission. Each choice was orchestrated like a marionette dance, each movement dictated by unseen forces. The prosecution presented biological evidence, linking the subject's neurological patterns to a history of trauma and neglect. They painted a picture not of a monster, but of a product forged in the fires of abandonment and emotional desolation. The jury listened, some nodding, others frowning, as they grappled with the complexity of culpability. Could they truly hold this individual accountable for acts that seemed more like echoes of a tortured mind than conscious decisions? As the defense took its turn, the somber tone deepened. They argued not for exoneration, but for understanding. They posited that the subject was a vessel of accumulated pain. Each act committed was a reflection of a fractured identity, an identity shaped by invisible chains tightened around the self. Coercion was not merely an external force. It had become internalized, of whispering lies of worthlessness and despair. The jury was a mosaic of beliefs and biases, each person wrestling with the implications of their decision. The weight of a single verdict could shatter lives or offer a glimmer of hope. In that room, ethics and morality danced in a delicate balance, a choreography of human fallibility. Then came the moment. The judge's voice rang out, steady yet somber, declaring the final verdict, a decision echoing beyond the walls of the courtroom, reverberating into the lives of all who had borne witness. It was a verdict not just of guilt or innocence, but an acknowledgement of the intricate web of human psychology that binds us all. As the gavel fell, the chains that had once seemed invisible took form in the minds of those present. They were not merely chains of the past. They were reflections of the human condition itself, fragile, complex, and hauntingly real. The courtroom emptied slowly, but the echoes of the verdict lingered, a reminder that understanding is often the heaviest burden to bear.